What's going on, YouTubials? It's the man with the master plan, the toothless wonder. Back at you with another freestyle from the dome. And that's what be the hard part. I don't be knowing what to talk about because it's just so much going on. And then in my own mind, I be feeling like, I don't know, like everybody's stupid. So nobody really want to hear the truth. And if they do want to hear the truth, then you got to do something about it or change your mindset or whatever the particular case may be. And I think people know. I think they're just caught in, as the Bible says, this strong delusion of somehow, even though, let's say, the people in power continually show you they don't give a damn, somehow you refuse to believe they would actually like cross you out, even though they've been doing it. I think it just comes from a spiritual place of indifference, or how we've been kind of coddled into this comfortability of maybe not living in the sense of like maybe how people did that weren't so technologically advanced, where you actually had to hunt your food, you actually had to fight men, and you know what I'm saying? Like you had to eat out an existence. You had to be a good steward. You know what I mean? You had to increase your value holistically, character wise. Like see here in Babylon, it's like we lift up people with bad character, bad morals, and then we want to be like them for whatever social acceptance they gain. But Cali Cow a little different. I don't give a damn, and never have. So now, like, because I used to wonder when I was little, like, why I had certain proclivities, or I didn't see things a certain way, or certain stuff everybody else didn't matter to me, but the stuff I cared about don't seem to be on nobody's radar. And I believe as the world itself uh, descends into madness, and I've been had this epiphany, I'll begin to rise in relation to it. As far as just power, um, knowledge, resourcefulness, adaptability, leadership, wisdom, like all these intangible characteristics nobody really even gives a damn about. But these things will be very valuable in the times that we're headed into. Like with the whole, I guess I don't know, I don't really watch the news, but I was talking about the whole, Israel, Hamas, and those people aren't the real scriptural people of the book. So we've been duped into supporting political Israel when true Israel is dispersed throughout, the four corners of the earth, as the Bible says. Um, and then that's a topic in and of itself. These various distractions, like the whole Diddy thing, that's very timely. You know what I mean? When I see, from what I understood and just watching videos on YouTube, I've been known the man had something to do with it. It's crazy how motherfuckers in the social media age, excuse my language, can talk about crimes that have no statute of limitation, but then still walk around free and then get nabbed up, just out the blue. Like, I knew. How come, what I'm saying? Like, this whole demonstration to me is a complete, almost neo feudal society where the rules apply differently based on what class you're in and how you can benefit an overall agenda and so on and so forth. So, in my personal life, like I'm knocking on the door certain things, but the Most High's will trumps all that. So it may not be his now supposed to be productive, put my hand to the plow, as far as that, outwardly, right? And of course, as best I can submit to his law, statutes, commandments, spiritually, inwardly. But ultimately, and I've noticed this throughout my life, like I've been able to do certain things, but it just don't work. Or I'm like, well, I did everything, what I mean? That's because it's not his plan. So I've, within recent, months come to the epiphany. Not the epiphany, but just in a better mindfulness that it's his plan. Because I wouldn't be to this point, because it was his plan. And everything happens at the appointed time. So in my personal life, I've just been more mindful to not get frustrated when the things I attempt to do don't work. But it always works out when it's supposed to work out. And then it works out better than I could have even constructed, considering, like, I got a real vivid imagination. Like, I can construct some stuff in my mind, you know what I mean? Like, since I was little, I always wanted to be like one of them revolutionary brothers, you know what I'm saying? Somebody who liberates the people. And that's a great, you know, ideal, right? But it's not time to be liberated. That's why all those things didn't work. And even though they were very heroic in their efforts, whenever you look at, let's say, the true Israelites of the book, whenever they found themselves in bondage, they couldn't get out of it without God's hand. Like I noticed, right? That's why even before I came into this, now I was like, there's a lot of parallels between black people and, let's say the Israelites or the Yahudim of the Old Testament, right? And I'm like, you know what I mean? And they tell we're African American, but they don't tell you which country. And Africa's super duper continent with all these different cultures. And I'm like, man, what's going on here, man? Like, there's a lot of parallel. How we're so gifted and magical, right? But yet we can't never own anything. We're powerful, but yet we can't free ourselves. You see what I'm saying? All the nations want to be like us, but then in turn, we trying to be like everybody else. Like we're totally lost without the Messiah and the Most High. And it's always, even in my own life, I can do no good thing apart from the brand. Even the stuff I attempted to do that I thought was well-meaning, if I didn't seek God before I did it, it would just blow up in my face. And I'm like, but and at the time I was kind of trying to, like, I guess, right some wrongs, or, as they say, a multitude of charity covers a multitude of sins. So I guess I was just trying to even the scales and just do something right out here. I'm like, that don't even work. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't meant to work. Seemingly, from my understanding, the way I'm set up, unless, like from a military perspective, unless he sanctions any mission, it's not going to work, because it ain't meant to work, because I'm not doing what he want me to do. You know what I mean? So my life don't belong to me, especially considering I had a near-death experience when I broke my neck. And he had to literally resurrect me, and that's how the ambulance and the doctor people wrote it on the report. So I just keep in mind, even with the daily struggles or frustrations, or just the daily rigmarole, I keep in mind that ultimately His will is going to be done, whether I understand it or not. He is leading, guiding me, whether I can consciously see it, believe it, or not. I guess that's where faith coming at. So as far as I know, I just try to keep stepping, live, act right, treat people right. Stay away from temptation to the best of my ability, so that I can go to sleep with a good conscience, and eventually He'll break it. But then I used to kind of limit Him. Like, well, how you gonna do that if I'm not around these people, or I'm in this geographical area, so on and so forth, which was, decreasing my faith based on my personal limitations. It don't work like that. And I had to, become in, stillness and quiet to understand that particular aspect of it. So now I just move around and operate with a whole lot more peace. I don't care nothing about what nobody talking about. I know I'm divinely protected. So, like, and I make a lot of true statements, around people about certain things. Now, I'm not known as a bamboozler, but, nobody likes to hear the truth. So you get the little dry, not that I care nothing about it. And on top, I know, so it's not like you're going to run up on me and try to do something to me about it. Because for as, anointed, which sounds like a good term, but there's a great cost and a great burden that comes with anointing. Like everybody, like people use this word chosen, right? But there's a great purging process that has to take place before you start to see any semblance of manifestation of your calling first. Like if you look at the Bible, anybody called, He had to isolate them and like purge them of the world and their dependence on that and people, and He got to change your identity. And it's actually quite vexing. Because you're coming out of an old life and it's all new, and you're like everything gets sheared off of you, and you're kind of left with nothing. And then you're like, why would He do this to me? You know what I mean? But again, He knows better than you. But now I can see, the benefits in certain things as people see me as an asset. Not because I try to climb the corporate ladder or, just do that the whole Ben Vereen dance to make people like me. It's just that now I'm in a position where people around me and they see my character. They see how I operate. They feel my energy. And more oftentimes than not, they're really not around people who operate like that. So it's interesting. But then after a period of time, based on who then they'll start to hate you for the light that you carry. You know what I mean? So I've become more knowledgeable about just how to move. And I'm real good with not being triggered. But at the same time, I do feel the need to let them know, like, this ain't that. Like, if you try me, you might be whatever you think you is, but I do know how to dig underneath of people in an effort to protect me and keep stepping so that eventually I can step into the mission. Because the way I'm set up, anything, now I don't know exactly. I have little inklings, But if I don't like, I don't know exactly what it is, right? But anything or anyone who attempts to, I perceive, shortstop that or hinder or derail it, you're instantly going on the chopping block. I don't care who it is. Like I had a situation with my 12-year-old daughter. I cut her off, knowing and understanding you need me before I need you, and I'm doing this because of bad behavior that I gotta keep talking to you about, and I don't like keep talking about the same stuff over and over again. So eventually she came back around and we all right, and we moved back, and I restored her in love, but I said, baby, this is why I did this, and do. And we all right now. Something you gotta let them know, especially as a man. You gotta let them know, because if not, they'll, and we try living this, or they attempt to make, just manhood this like evil thing, and patty meet everybody out. So when you a man with standards and boundaries, without coming across overly rah rah rah, it's like they seen a, like, what are you? Like, I like it, but it scares me at the same time. Like, yo, I'm actually the most, like, I guess, how the word, harm, what does it say? Wise, harmless as a dove. Like, you ain't got to worry about me hurting you. And I've been out of that type of lifestyle for at least 15 years of, attempting to get over on people and prey on people's vulnerability. But I'm like, man, that ain't nothing to be proud of. I don't even feel right. Like, I don't want to leave no carnage of broken souls on my path to what I believe to be some type of goal or ascension. I gotta do it the right way, not the light way. If anything, I'd like to hope and believe, and it hasn't. It has to a degree, and then it hasn't for people who are more closer to me. Like, I feel like just by default, if we, get into some type of friendship relationship, you should feel blessed. Not because, like, I'm so great or anything, but because I'm coming into it understanding that I have a certain stewardship to this. You see what I'm saying? Now, of course, I don't put nothing but the mission. So you're not going to, trump that or interject in that. And that's why I had to cut certain people off as I perceive them spiritually become a hindrance, as they see me, continue to strive and move forward. But all that other stuff is relevant, including you if you get in the way. And that would be the same thing if for another one of my brothers who's, operating, I just attempt to, or they perceive I attempt to become a hindrance to them. Like, what are you doing, cuz? Like, with me and my, friends who are kind of scattered about, we're all on our solo paths in the same kind of way, you know what I'm saying? So when I make these type of statements, like, yeah, okay, I understand. And where they say certain stuff, like, yo, I get it, bro, you know what I'm saying? Because we're fighting for legacy here. We're fighting for our last names, I guess in a lot that was given to us by someone else. We're fighting to take our families forward, and typically it has to be the quote-unquote crazy one, or the one with all the trauma, or the one with the hardest road who does all that, because everybody else too comfortable. Everybody else don't have the experiences that we have, or seeing the things that we've seen that gives us the skill set we now have and possess. You know what I mean? So I thank God for it. Like Paul said, if I boast in anything, I boast in my infirmity. You know what I mean? And when he first drove me into the wilderness, which is another topic that I could go on about, the first thing he dealt with was forgiveness and ego. So that's when I started taking personal responsibility for certain stuff. Like, I'll say, okay, these people did this to me, but in reality, I ain't had no been a fool with them. And I knew that at the time. I just kept doing it because I was drinking at the time. So I'm not making the best decisions. And at that time, I lacked the ability to be by myself, because being by myself, my brain would beat me up with shame, guilt, sadness. This wasn't too long after, I lost a significant other to cancer. So that was very vexing, to say the least. And I just didn't want to deal with it. So me drinking was a way of coping. But what I was doing to cope was actually holding me in that space, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, right? So now years have transpired, and I'm still in this place, even though time has chronologically moved forward, but I haven't. It wasn't until I got on this path of sobriety, and I fell a few times and got back on it after a period of time, till I started to move past things. Like, if I tell people personal aspects of, like, things I've went through and so on and so forth, they don't believe it, not because they don't believe I went through it, but the version of the person I am now, they can't see any of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm naturally like a happy-go-lucky type of guy, right? Nobody believes that I suffered from severe depression for years. I've had quite a few near-death experiences, you know what I'm saying? But I don't come across, and also, betrayal by those closest to me on numerous occasions. but nobody can tell because they don't perceive any bitterness in me. You know what I'm talking about? Um, like I've had, these various seasons in life, in the streets and jail, so on and so forth. But how I conduct myself, nobody can tell. You see what I'm saying? But this has been over the course of, damn, all my life. It's just now, like, a lot of things have really been, or this particular season of sobriety, last 2.5 years, has really purged me. Like, here's one, and I wanted to kind of cover this: my ability to sexually discipline myself, my ability to say no to temptation. Actually, my ability to say no in general. I say no more than I say yeah, and when I say no, it's because it don't benefit me. Like, I had to treat myself like a business. Because if, as a man, especially nowadays, if you operate in all this feeling and this unhealthy attachment kind of situation, you're bound to dress on. And then you wonder why you can't get nowhere. And then you all frustrated, mad, bitter because people did whatever they did, but you ain't had no been a fooling with them. And by their actions, they showed you. Like I had, and I'll say her name, but she used to be beef or whatever. She like, Cam, I love you. I say, yo, if you didn't say it, I couldn't tell. Not by the way you act. You just keep saying the shit. But I don't see none of it. Like, if people didn't talk about a particular thing, 9 times out of 10, you can't tell that they are that thing unless they keep overly saying it. And when people overly say it, I don't believe you. Just like if I say, hey, cuz, I ain't gonna cross you out, but I keep saying it, that's gonna make me think like, yo, why do you keep saying it? You must about to be ready to do it. But that was just, just a few free-flowing thoughts that come to mind just left from the gym. Got one of these helicopters over here, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna just drop little random stuff, you know what I mean? Hey, this is Foul Shop and the Toothless Wonder signing off on the Bamboozle Again News Network. Oh!